Hi everyone, this is Jack from Caravan Digital, the Google Ads guy and disembodied voice guiding you through what you need to know about Performance Max today. First, we'll start with pros and cons, then we'll move on to how to set up a Performance Max campaign, then how to optimize it over time and look at the reporting, and then how to add brand terms as negative keywords. Alright, let's start with the pros and the cons. The biggest con that we see is that the reporting gets less granular. And this is a con that we've been dealing with for a couple of years now because Google Ads has been pulling back the granularity of the reporting that we're getting to see. So, of course, the search terms reporting in Performance Max campaigns is going to be less granular. It's going to be less complete. This is really the environment we're living in, though, regardless of what campaign we're using. So Google's gotten rid of our broad match modifier keywords. The full search term report is not available even in search ads. Their most recent change has been to take the search query reporting out of Universal Analytics for Google Search Console. Another con for Performance Max specifically is that bid strategies are now limited to just maximize conversions or maximize conversion value. So you're really not able to do any manual bidding on this campaign type. So again, that's less granular reporting that we're seeing now. And just to make this a little visual, I'm going to type out some notes here for you. No more manual bidding, like I said. So because the bid strategies are limited, like I just said, you might want to try getting some more conversion data in the account that you're working on before you start Performance Max campaigns. So give the account, an idea of what a conversion looks like in your account before you go and launch a Performance Max campaign. If you've been running smart shopping campaigns for a while now, this is a great opportunity to capitalize on all that data you've been collecting. Other cons that I see are no direct keyword targeting. Again, this is a con that we've been dealing with smart shopping and shopping campaigns in general. And because this campaign type wraps a bunch of different other campaign types into one, you're going to be limited by some of the options that you were limited in for shopping campaigns. There's no direct keyword targeting, but there is keyword signaling. There's a lot of signals, what they call, you can give to the campaign, the algorithm that's going to be, deciding how much to bid. What you can do is create a lot of really robust custom audiences, custom intent audiences with keywords from all of the keyword research you've been doing and target people that have been searching terms like that on Google, as well as URLs that people are visiting or URLs that are like the ones that people are visiting. So you still get to target keywords, just not directly. The other con is, just like all the other Google campaigns though, it needs time to develop and learn. And you need time to optimize the account. So it's not going to be this magical thing that immediately starts performing well. Don't treat it like that. Treat it like every other campaign you've been setting up, every other campaign you've optimized. It's going to take time, it's going to take effort, and you're going to need to figure out how it works best for you. All right. Okay, let's talk about pros. So the pros far outweigh the cons. There are a lot of pros that I see with Performance Max campaigns. The main one being that you get smart shopping performance without the black box. What I mean by that is the reporting is a lot better in Performance Max campaigns, whereas in smart shopping campaigns, you didn't get to see any of the keywords or the search terms, or you didn't get to see what was happening on the keyword level. You didn't know if you were prospecting or remarketing with those campaigns. With Performance Max campaigns, they give you keyword themes and keyword groups, and they give you all the keywords that make up that keyword theme, which I'll be showing you in an account very soon. So a big pro is that you get that powerful algorithm to work on, to work with you, and you don't get completely shut out to what's happening. Another con for Performance Max campaigns is that you get to target more strategically. And what I mean by that is you get to focus on audiences and your customer personas and who your ideal customer is a lot more in this campaign type. So leveraging custom intent audiences and leveraging your customer data. This is really something that you get to hone in on with Performance Max campaigns. You build really robust audiences, you target those audiences, you use all of your data as well. So people similar to converters, like that audience that we like to use in Google Ads a lot. So the targeting gets a little bit more involved. You get to really hit on who your ideal customer is. With Smart Shopping, you didn't get to do that. You kind of just had to let it do its thing, which is the last thing PPC managers want, right? We want some control. We want to be able to guide it. And with Performance Max campaigns, you can definitely guide it. Another pro is the streamlined campaign building. So think about it. You're building out 3 or 4 different campaign types in every account, right? You're building Smart Shopping, you're building Standard Shopping, you're building Search, you're building Display, you're building YouTube. In this kind of campaign type, you get to just get your creative, put it in the right places in one ad, and the rest of the work is done. Another pro of Smart Shopping is streamlined campaign building. And what I mean by that is essentially you have a lot of different campaign types that you're building out in accounts, like Smart Shopping, Display, Standard Shopping, Search, YouTube, etc. So with this campaign type, you get to pretty much take all of those campaign types and enter all your creative, all your audiences, all your assets into one asset group. And kind of like a responsive display ad, it will create combinations of those things and put it in front of the ideal customer you're telling it to go for with those powerful audiences you're building. And you get to kind of let it test that stuff for you. You get to let it test the creative for you. So streamlined campaign building kind of turns into the other pro, which is supercharged testing. So you're doing A, B, C, D testing. You're not A/B testing, 2 different headlines every couple weeks here. I mean, you're letting the algorithm do all this testing for you, and that's included in the reporting. You can see what headlines are doing well and what headlines aren't, which is something I didn't like about responsive search ads. You can't tell, it says it's cycling through them, but I can't see which ones are considered poor headlines, really. So the testing is much better with this campaign type. It's also the best way to make use of your audiences. And it's because that's the main foundation of the targeting in a Smart Shopping campaign, is that your audiences are your main input along with your creative. So if you know who your customer is, you get to signal to Google's algorithm that this is the person I want to go for, and it will use all of your assets that you're inputting into the asset group and find the best way to get to them. And that's a lot more powerful than anything we've been really using. Another thing that I really like about Performance Max campaigns is the passive keyword research element. And this was sort of a benefit of just dynamic search ads. Dynamic search ads would show you a search terms report. It would match to search terms that maybe you didn't think of targeting before, right? This is kind of that, but up another level. So it'll give you keyword themes, how much revenue they're getting. So you get to see the keyword themes that maybe you weren't even thinking of targeting. So in a client that I'll be showing you, for example, there are vegan keywords that I wasn't directly targeting with an audience, but it was a theme that kept popping up in the Insights tab. And it's information that I get to use to say, okay, maybe I should build an audience off of this keyword theme that I'm seeing. And then you can take that, say, yes, this is a good signal. Keep targeting this. I'm building it, build an audience and directly tell Google to target that. And you wouldn't have known about it. So it's really good at testing, really good at telling you what's working in a streamlined way so that you're not doing all this granular testing and wasting a lot of time. It frees you up to focus on the bigger picture. Who's my audience? Who am I targeting? What should my messaging be? It kind of lets you build a more cohesive strategy. And that is really, at the end of the day, what we want. It's not the best idea to be stuck in changing little things about headlines every day. You want to be able to do really important, that's important account work, but you want to be doing more strategic work than that to improve the account overall. So those are the pros and cons. I've talked about all the cool pros, all of the powerful reporting. Let's hop into an account and show you what that looks like. So now we're going to talk about how to set up a Performance Max campaign. But first, a quick note on structure. So the ideal structure, it's an early campaign, so nobody really knows that yet. And if they tell you they know the exact ideal structure, they don't know what they're talking about, because it really varies by account. It varies on how you think about the account and the best organization for you and how you want to report your results. Also, it doesn't quite meld with old shopping structures, right? Shopping is included here, and it's important to think about that. But what I like to do is theme it by product lines. So here we're looking at one of the clients that we're trying the Performance Max campaign with, and I have about 7 asset groups. So the structure of these campaigns now is based on asset groups and listing groups. Asset groups are going to hold all of the assets and content that you want to advertise with. So these asset groups they're going to have your copy, your photos, your video, and the shopping products that you want to sell in this particular asset group. So you can exclude all other products, you can choose particular products to show, or you can do a catch-all asset group and run all of your Merchant Center, all of your products that you're feeding to Merchant Center. So what I like to do is theme it by product line or even down to the product. I have a single product or gift basket here, and then I have different themed gift baskets for each asset group. And the reason I like to do this is because it allows me to choose really specific creative and write specific copy and advertise to a very specific audience. It allows you to get pretty granular in that way. If you're structuring this on a shopping system that is based on ROAS performance, it's going to be hard to write headlines for a medium ROAS campaign, because there's no centralized theme to the products you're selling, really. I mean, how do you write a headline for 200% ROAS? That's not very customer facing. So it's easier to kind of organize your assets in a way that is kind of mirroring your site's navigation or the way that you organize your own product catalog. Or it's a good opportunity to reevaluate how you organize your product catalog if it's too difficult. So that was a quick note on structure that I wanted to just share with you. I prefer doing asset groups by product line. Makes it easier for me to tailor the creative that I'm actually putting in these asset groups. So let's set up a new campaign and show you how to set up Performance Max. Okay, so let's set up a campaign. New campaign. We're going to focus on sales because this is an e-commerce client. So you're going to get an opportunity to check the conversion goals. So you want to choose which ones we want to go for. I'm not actually interested in phone call leads for this. So for this campaign, I want to just focus on purchases. And then we're going to click Performance Max. Your Merchant Center account's going to get pulled in here. So we're going to say PMax test 2. I've done one of these tests before, as you can see. So we'll start a new one. All right. So this is going to look really familiar. You're just going to want to put your budget in. It's going to kind of, what they've been doing with bidding, it's going to kind of herd you into a certain action. Like I mentioned earlier, the bidding strategies are a little limited, and that is a con here. You can't do any manual bidding. So we like to focus on conversion value. It's going to be kind of set up like are you focusing on sales or are you focusing on leads? So are you focusing on conversions or are you focusing on conversion value, right? You can choose to set a target return on ad spend right now. I would let it perform first. Gather some data and then set a target. I like to see how products perform in the wild, so to speak, and see how they interact and what is actually selling. I want to give it a chance, get the raw data, and then set a target later. Okay, so you're just going to choose your location. I'm really going to point out what's new here because I know most people have probably set up a Google Ads campaign before. They can look, there are plenty of resources for how to set up a Google Ads campaign. So what's different in Performance Max, though, is that kind of like dynamic search ads, what they're going to do is kind of send people to a URL that it thinks makes the most sense. So if you don't select only send traffic to the URLs you've provided, so that being shopping ads are going to product pages, right? And the search ads and display ads and that you're setting up are going to a specifically targeted URL. What you can do is select expand URLs to send traffic, quote unquote, to the most relevant URLs on your site. So you're letting Google decide whether or not a page is right and kind of optimize around that. I think it's still a new thing, but I think you want to stick with only URLs that you've provided until you have more data and it has a better idea of what a conversion looks like and a better idea of the conversion paths for your account. Otherwise, it's not really going to know what's best yet. So do that first. So you're going to name your asset group. We'll call it test group 2. This is where you would select your products. So it's default to all products. You could edit that and do a selection of products. So this is where your custom labels really come into effect. So, before you set up any shopping campaign, make sure that you have all of the labeling down to how you like it so that the reporting is easier. For example, I like to use custom label 0 as the product category and then custom label 1 as the product title. So that makes it easy for me to basically say in listing groups when I'm setting up a Performance Max campaign, all right, let's just select custom label 1. Let's select the gluten-free gift basket category for this asset group because that's what we're going to focus on. That's the product line I want to write ads for. So make sure your custom labels are set up so your organization and your reporting and even the setup is a lot easier that way. So you're going to want to put in your URL. We didn't turn on the expansion, remember, so it's just going to send our display and search ads to this URL. This is where you're going to add your images for display, your logos, videos, and then it's going to ask you for 5 headlines, 5 long headlines for the Discover feed, and a short description and 5 descriptions, your business name, and then this is the opportunity you get to have your site links, call to action. You can even add promotions, prices, you can add all of the extensions that you would add to a search campaign here. Callouts, location extensions. And then this is really the fun part. You get to add your audiences. So I already have a bunch of audiences created, audience signals, but what you can do is new audience, you enter the audience name here, and then you get to put in custom segments. So these are going to be those custom intent audiences that you create. So this is where your keyword targeting really comes into effect. So I really recommend having a custom intent audience to target for Performance Max campaigns. Build your audiences out, do a lot of keyword research, and throw all of those target keywords into the audiences, as well as URLs. You have the option to put in remarketing audiences, your data. I like to just stick to similar to, because it's not direct remarketing. But it's going to be informing. You're going to be signaling Google, here are people that have purchased from me before. Find people that are like those people. And I think that's also a very powerful tool. So combining that with your customer persona, your custom intent audiences, you're also going to be able to choose interest and detailed demographics and then demographics. So they recommend age, parental status, income, gender, keep these things the same. I say if you know who your audience is, you can mess with any of this stuff. There are human inputs that are necessary here. And then interest and detailed demographics. So this is going to be your in-market audiences. This is going to be education, home ownership status, those kinds of things that we're used to targeting. So it all kind of turns all of these different audiences into a combined audience or an audience signal that is going to tell that asset group. It's going to use that signal to inform who to advertise to. This is a really important tool and a really important part of the ad setup. Really don't neglect this because this is basically all of your targeting. So I don't have anything there, but if it lets us keep going here. All right. Perfect. So if we had everything correctly built out here, it would let us publish because this is just the summary tab. So really the setup is pretty simple as far as, this technical part, but you really want to make sure that you have custom labels, you have a lot of great audiences to use, and you think about the structure of the asset groups and the asset in your product catalog before you start building out the campaign. So I feel like there's a lot of pre-work, but once you actually get into it, it doesn't get that complex. Okay, so that's how to set up a Performance Max campaign. Next, we're going to focus on reporting and using that reporting to optimize. All right, now it's time to talk about reporting. So I'm in the account that I've already set up for this client. And what you're going to want to do is go to the Insights tab. So you're going to see Insights. This is kind of the new overview for the whole campaign. You're also going to get, since you have search campaigns in this Performance Max campaign, you're going to get to see auction insights. This is a fairly new campaign, so I'm not able to show you anything here yet, but if you've seen an auction insights report before, you'll know what to expect here. If you haven't, basically it just tells you your impression share for your search ads and all of the people that are in competition with you for that pool of impressions and how you compare to them based on the columns here. So how is your impression share comparing to your competition? How many times do you show ads on the same results? How many times is your competitor above you? What's your top of page rate? How often are you at the top? How often are you at the first position? And the outranking share, how often your ad ranked higher in the auction than another advertiser's ad. So you have that reporting like you had with search ads. You also have this Insights tab, which is going to show you either 7 days or the last 28 days right now. I'm hoping that gets a little more granular, but right now it's just those two options. So it kind of gives you a top insight or a top level overview of how things are going in the last, I have 7 days here. And then here is where you have those keyword categories that I was talking about earlier. So college care packages, gifts to send students, right? People that are searching for these kinds of things. We've gotten some conversion value from this group of keywords. I don't have an audience for college care packages specifically. This is an example of passive keyword research. So this asset group or this campaign has basically gotten a couple of purchases from keywords that I'm not even targeting in my audience. So it's finding you new ideas on who to target, and that's really powerful. And it has all these other groups kind of divided by theme, these keywords divided by theme, and it gives you the conversion value. And you can change this as well to clicks, impressions, click-through rate, any metric you want to see for each keyword theme. All right, and then it also shows your search volume. So how many of those searches are coming through for these keywords. And you can take them and use them in your audiences. It's really good passive keyword research. All right, so another really nice way to get some reporting, this is kind of what I was talking about with the testing. So instead of manually testing a bunch of things, what you can do is go to View Details. So you're going to go to the asset group. You're going to go to the three dots on the right here. Go to View Details. And then all of your assets are going to show up here. So you're going to have your headlines, your long headlines, your descriptions, your images, square image, right? All of these different assets that you've put in there. It's going to give you the asset type, their approval status, and here's the thing, they're going to give you performance ratings. So right now, this asset group in particular is pretty new. Let me actually get to a different asset group that has more data. Okay, so for the other form of reporting, we're going to want to head to asset groups. And what we're going to do is go to View Details. And what you get to do is look at all of your assets that you've put into the asset group. So headlines, long headlines, descriptions, images, videos, logos, and you're going to get to see the type, the status, and the more important part, performance. And what this will typically show here, right now this is too new to really have a performance rating, doesn't have enough information on performance, so it's going to have to collect a little bit more data here, but it'll usually rate it as best, good, and I can't remember the exact terminology, but something along the lines of needs improvement. So kind of like an elementary school grading scale, very gentle, but very persuasive. This is a great way to A/B test. You're going to be testing all of this stuff. It's going to give you a performance grade, and you're going to say, okay, this one needs improvement. Let's try something else here. This one was best. Let's try things that are more like this headline. So this is a cool way to really streamline your testing because it's actually giving you a performance grade for all of your creative. You just have to give it enough budget and enough time to give you the data back. All right. So that's another great way that reporting can help you optimize. And think about where you were with Smart Shopping. I mean, none of this was around. So, I mean, this is a much, much, much improved way to optimize your accounts. All right. So we have the Insights tab, we have the Asset Groups, we have Auction Insights, and you can also take a look at listing groups. It's kind of a jumbled mess if you do it by campaign. So what I like to do is go to the asset group level and then go to the listing groups for that asset group. And then you can check the specific thing you're targeting and how well it's doing, right? So I only had one product for this asset group. I can see its performance pretty clearly here, and you can edit the columns that you want to see right there, just like in regular shopping campaigns. All right, so that is how to look at the reporting. This is a very new campaign type, so hopefully there are new ways to view reporting and view performance in the future. The last thing that we wanted to cover was how to add brand terms as negative keywords. And unfortunately, it's a little bit roundabout. What you're going to have to do is get help from Google support. So go to the big little question mark up there. You're going to search for help for add negative keywords performance max campaign. All right. Scroll down. Contact us. So you're going to ask them to add negative keywords to Performance Max. Performance Max setup. Keyword issue. Okay, just pick one of these options. Go to the next step. Click the account and have them contact you. It's going to be through email. I'm not going to go through this just for privacy stuff. You get the picture. So you're going to have to contact Google support, have a little bit of an email exchange with them about what keywords you want them to add, and they will update it, and it'll take probably about a day on average to get the keywords added to your Performance Max campaign. So that's a way you could make sure that negative keywords are added for your brand turn to make sure you're not doing any branded sales and make sure you're prospecting. You can also do it to add things you definitely don't want to. So if you have a negative keyword list already preloaded, if you have one for the account, maybe you can ask them to basically apply that list to your Performance Max campaign. So that is Performance Max as we know it so far. It has been a pleasure walking you through this, and thanks for listening.